Improvise, adapt, and overcome. It's something that we've all heard a million times. And, I honestly don't know how much the average person puts that into play, but I use it as often as I can. I've actually been accused of being cheap, like as in like a cheapskate, because I'd rather repair my own things, or because I'd rather make my own things, or. And it's really not that. It's, well, to be honest, a lot of times, for instance, making stuff, I can make better stuff that I can buy for cheaper. So it doesn't make any sense for me to buy it. So if you're around, and I'm probably going to upload this to both the Watchman News and Dirt Cheap Preps because I think it's a good fit for both. You know, if you were live or there for the live show last night, I was crying about my watch. My charger broke from my watch, and I couldn't find the piece that had broken. And after I got off the air last night, well, actually right before we went to bed, I decided to look in one spot I hadn't quite checked yet, and sure enough, that's where this little sucker was. And as you can see, the piece of plastic I told you that I would find, as well as a magnet. Okay, and so I've got all the parts here, and the way this works is there's actually 3 magnets here. I know you can see one real super easy. Let me kind of get it out of the way. It keeps wanting to stick to the others, and I'll try to get up close there, but you'll see 2 cylinders sticking up there, and there's magnets in those puppies. So there's a total of 3 magnets actually in here. And so obviously with a magnet you have polarity. You got to make sure you get it on the right direction, and this magnet, because of the other magnets, wants to just pop right out of that spot and stick to the other magnets like you see there. So how they got around that in the factory, and how I am going to get around that, is they used, and you can still see it on there, if I can get it held correctly for you, they used and I don't know that it's focusing, but I'm trying. They use double-sided tape, and I've got some here for for doing window plastic, and I'm going to use double-sided tape to reaffix this here so it stays put while I put it back together on this part here. Okay, and so that's just got 4 contacts on it, as you can see there. It's got 4 contacts, and I'm trying to get it to focus. Sorry. 4 contacts there, and then it's 3 magnets here, and then let me pull the watch off and I'll show you. And then on the back side of the watch, try to get the band pulled away enough so you can see. On the back side of the watch, once again, you'll see the 4 contacts, but then on the outer 2 edges of the 4 contacts, you'll see what I assume are also magnets. So that's how the charger connects to the watch to charge. It's literally just held in place by magnets. And so anyway, this piece just broke out of there. It looks like it was originally glued, and so I could most certainly epoxy it, and I do believe I've got some 2-part epoxy. And if my initial fix doesn't work, then I'll use the epoxy. But I came up with another way. I instantly saw 2 ways that I could probably fix this once I found the other part, and obviously with epoxy is one, and the other is with heat shrink. And so I believe I've got everything here that I'm going to need to do the job. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take me some of this double-sided tape here, and I'm going to pull just a little bit off like that. I mean, enough that I know that I'm getting into good stuff. And I'm just going to cut it, and I'm going to lay it upside down on the table here. And then what I'm going to do is take this, and I already know what side needs to have it. So I'm just going to pay attention to that as I pull off their double-sided tape, because we got to get rid of that. And I'll make sure I don't get anything mixed up. And I'm just going to stick that side, and I know my hands and stuff are in the way. I'm just going to stick that side down on this double-sided tape, and I'm just going to get it down there. And it's down there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a knife, utility knife, and I'm going to cut. That's why I left the glass on the table here. I'm going to cut that out. Of course, the magnet's trying to stick to the knife. These are strong magnets for their size. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that they are earth magnets, rare earth magnets, or whatever they call them. Okay, looks like I still got to do some trim work, but since I got it started, that's going to be super easy. Just like that. Turn it, and I just got that one edge. I'm going to do that down here, I think. Just going to trim that off. Just like that. And so I've got the perfect size piece of double-sided tape now on that. I'm going to make sure that there's nothing down there. And you know, to be honest, you should probably, if you wanted to be all right and proper and stuff, clean that good with an alcohol swab or something. But I'm not right and proper, so hell with that. So I pulled off the backing for the double-sided tape. Now I'm just going to set it in place. And hopefully it will stick in place like that. And now it won't flop out and go stick to those other magnets. Now, before we go any further, and I always recommend do stuff, you just check it. It only takes a second. Just make sure it's going to work right. And you see everything's holding in place. That's exactly how it's supposed to hold in place. So those magnets are ready to go. Now, this piece here literally just sets down on there, and it originally was glued, okay, and that glue came loose. And so what I am going to do is, instead of that, let me make sure that that's down good. Yeah, it appears to be. That was my finger popping if you heard it, and not the plastic. Because I'm almost 50, yo. Okay, so I'm going to take the heat shrink here, and I am going to try my very best to work it over top of this, you know, so that I can get a really good bite with it all the way around, this heat shrink, when I heat it up. Because that's my intent, is I want a really good bite to hold this together. So let me just try to massage it up on there as much as I can. It looks like I'm actually making progress. You know, and I do this stuff live. I'm not going to sit there and, you know, do the hard parts off camera and then pop on and, oh, look, it's nice and easy. You know, no, I want you guys to see what I have to do in order to improvise, adapt, and overcome. Knowing how to work with your hands, knowing how to work with your tools is very essential. And getting practice with that right now is the best time. You know, when you can buy stuff to replace stuff you break, because it's going to happen. Okay, so that looks good. My dad would say, good enough for the girls we go with. Yeah, I don't know why he said it, but he said it. My dad had all kinds of funny things he would say. Okay, and so now that's there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my little mini lighter torch here, and I'm just going to give her a good shrinking. Oh, and I got it too hot, you see, and it ripped right there. Well, that's a bummer deal. Okay, well, got it too hot and I ripped it. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have trimmed it until after I cut it, which I won't do that again. Let me, real quick like. Okay, well, I clearly paused the video and came back, and the reason why is because I didn't remember where I put this particular size of heat shrink wrap, and so I did find it. So we are back in business. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and cut it in about half. Like that. And then just going to do what I was doing earlier. Going to work it on there. This time I'm going to work it on there a little bit further if I can. Don't know that I can. It was kind of tough. And I'm going to use a regular Bic lighter instead of that torch thing. And maybe I can control my heat a little better. It doesn't have to be, you know, crazy, insane. It's just got to hold these two pieces together. And, you know, you can't use anything very thick because you have to be able to keep access, you know, to the terminals, which are, they don't stick up very far at all. So it's not like you got a lot of room for wrapping tape around it or something. You really can't do that. And so looks like I'm starting to get it beyond the high spot there. I don't know if you can see it really well, but that's kind of the hardest part to get past, is that spot. And then this time, like I said, I'm going to use a lighter, which I think I left over on the other table. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of start to warm it up a little bit. I'm just going to try to tighten it up around there the best I can, and then I'll cut off the excess. I'm really trying to get that spot good in here because that's where the terminals are. So I want that to be nice and taut. And then let it cool just for a second. Looks like I came real close to tearing through it. Just shy of it though. And I'm just going to cut this off. Just like that. Okay, and now my terminals are under there. So all I'm going to do is take a X-Acto knife here and try to cut out those terminals. I see them right there. So I'm just trying to cut just around them. And then there's a magnet there that I want to make sure to get in my cut as well. I'm cutting, it's just the ends aren't cut yet. It'll pop off here in a second. As soon as I can. Some pretty thick stuff. I'm trying to work my way through it and around. I thought I had the tops and the bottoms cut all the way, but I didn't. And just working my X-Acto. I should pretty much just have this side over here to work out. Go ahead and grab that and pull on it. Okay, so now we have the terminals exposed there. Let's see if it sticks to the watch, at least. So it sticks to the watch, okay, and it stays together, it's not coming apart. So check and check. And now, for the moment of truth, we're going to plug it into here. I'm going to turn this box on, maybe. Okay, and I'm going to plug it in, we'll see what happens. Look at that. I am charging my watch. So there you go. Again, improvise, adapt, and overcome. Now this charge cable is $8.50 on Amazon. Honestly, I ain't got that right now. I can't afford that right now. So that's why it was so important for me to find that piece, because I had to fix what I had. And you know, this is just one way of doing it with the heat shrink. I don't know that this will last forever or how long it will last. a more permanent, better way of doing it would be with epoxy. But the epoxy that I have, I believe is out in the shed, which means it's been out in, sub-freezing temperatures, and it's probably ruined, to be honest. So I had heat shrink around, and I figured that just might be enough to do the trick. It appears that it absolutely is. And I've got a watch charger again. So again, this is why I really preach this stuff, folks, about, adapting and overcoming, or improvising, adapting, and overcoming. Because, if things go sideways, it's not going to be a matter of, just order a new one from Walmart, or Amazon. You're not going to be able to do that. It's not going to be an option. So, anyway, I just thought maybe I would show you a little bit of leading by example. Anyway, I hope this helps somebody. Hope it may be a project you might have. You might see that and go, I never thought about trying to approach it from that direction or something like that. I just hope you get something out of this. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. Hope to see you all in the live show tonight. Shalom.